Hey guys, welcome to my somewhat cold small workshop here in the UK in the East Midlands. So firstly, introductions. My name's James Fowler, and this is the first video of a couple of a series that's going to be the entry into the great guitar build of 2021. The first video is going to comprise of then me going through the actual design that I put together for the competition, the inspiration that came to me for this design, the materials I'm going to use, and so on and so forth. Firstly, I just want to say thank you to Crimson Guitars for actually putting together this competition. Absolutely outstanding. I followed Ben and his team for many years and learned so much from them. And a massive thank you to them, thumbs up, as they are great at what they do and the actual guitars that they produce. So moving on then, now we're going to talk about, as I said, the design and the different elements that I've put into this design for the competition entry. Okay, so let's take a look at the design on paper. So this year's entry is the guitar you can see in front of you then, and it is known as the Dragonback. Hence the theme flowing throughout the guitar, and that is of dragons. As you can see at the top of the guitar body, there is an area that has what looks like scales. This is going to be achieved by using pinecone scales. Used this technique before, works really well. They're glued to the body in a small cavity, which will then be backfilled with resin and sanded and shaped to give the body feel. The centre of the guitar then is going to be resin also. The red area, this will be a resin strip. As we are using waney edge timber, this will create the channel in the centre and giving that contrast between the resin and the actual raw timber itself. The neck then, custom design, also with the dragon feel at the headstock. It will have 21 frets and the scale will be 25.5 inches. Hardware and electrics and colour of hardware has not yet been decided on. A bit unsure about which way to go with that, and that will come more as the build progresses. Okay, so what we're going to talk about now then is just some of the materials and timber and the things that you can see on the workbench then that actually is going to make up this guitar. So we'll start with the actual timber itself that we're going to use then. I'm a big believer of waste not, want not, and reuse where possible. So this piece of timber I actually purchased from a local guy that buys timber, finishes it on an industrial planer, and then sells it at a reasonable price. This timber then is Opepe, and from what I can gather looking online, it's from or originates from Africa. It is a hardwood. It's got an orange colour, as you can see. Yeah, nice figuring. Yeah, and a nice waney edge, which I intend to use, which will come more apparent later on. Already cut to size. Yeah, ready to go. And that will make up the body blank for the entry guitar. Moving on from that then, the neck blank. Yep, as you can see here, the neck blank, I've already cut that to the rough shape. Okay, piece of mahogany, reused. It is just literally the rough blank. This is going to have a lot of work done to bring it up to the required standard. Marked out for the truss rod and the tuner holes. And the next part will be moving on to the neck, and we're going to start the videos that associate to the actual building of the neck. I have the truss rod that's going to go into the neck also. The neck and the scale length for the guitar will be 25.5 inch, 22 frets. Pre-cut fretboard. Okay, yeah, Ben did put on the video that if you enter the scratch build, he's more than happy to use a pre-cut fretboard. So as you can see here, gone for a wenge fretboard. Very nice figuring. Yeah, as I said, 22 frets. Good to go. All it requires is some shaping for the radius of the fretboard, which will come on when we start the process of building the neck. Moving on from that then, you may look at these items on the bench. We all know and love what they are. Pine cones. Okay, so the guitar itself, going along with the theme, the dragon theme. These are going to make up a portion of the guitar that will look like dragon scales. I've done this in a previous build and it worked really well. And in relation to the resin, that these will be set into, I think it'll give a real vibrant colour, and it's going to give that feel of dragon scales, hence the name of the guitar, the Dragonback. Lastly then, as you can see, rough template of the body shape. Not a lot on there, just a rough template. This will become the routing template for further on down into the build. Still needs a bit more finessing on the sanding machine to bring that up to a good standard, ready for routing. Okay, as you can see then, it is just literally the bare parts at the moment. Really excited about this build. Lots of elements, lots of interesting features, and with the centre resin strip in the middle, I think it's really going to pop. Okay, look forward to the next part, which we then move on to in this video, which will be the starting point of building the neck. See you soon. Okay, so what we're going to move on to now then is the start routing process for the truss rod. So as you can see, I've got the neck blank on the desk table, and then I'm going to use the jig that I've set up to do a centre route for the truss rod. Okay, shallow pass first, just to make sure everything's eyed in, and then we'll do the final pass after that. So let's get on with it. As you can see then, that's the truss rod channel now cut down the centre of the neck. Bit of a bit of shaping with some chisels just to make a good fit. As you can see, we're going to put it in then nice and snug, fits nice and flush with the surface there. Happy with that. I'm going to progress on then and carry on with the next part of the neck build. Okay guys, moving on then, we're going to now move and look at radiusing the fretboard. A lot of guitar builders hate this job. It can take a while, especially doing it by hand. So let's make a start. As you can see, jig set up. Keep the block straight, and we're going to radius the fretboard to a 9.5 radius. Let's get cracked on. Okay guys, end of day one then, and this is where we're at. So rough neck blank now with the truss rod cut, the channel cut into the neck blank itself, and the truss rod is now seated, as you can see. Shaped out the fretboard from its original blank into the dimensions that it's going to be, rough dimensions that it's going to be when fitted to the neck. Headstock then, carved into the headstock to reduce that thickness down. It will still need shaping for the transition to where the truss rod will exit underneath the fretboard. Good productive day, quite a bit accomplished. We're going to move on, which will be further work on finishing the neck. Okay, so moving on then, what we're going to do now is we are going to glue up the neck and the fretboard. A few little tasks we need to do before we get into that, and that is I'm going to drill some pilot holes, and we're going to use some little dowels to secure and help locate the fretboard to stop it sliding when we put the glue in place. So we'll get on with that then. Glue that I squeezed out obviously will entail some cleaning up later on. That's easy enough to remedy, and it'll be done once the neck's fully cured. Obviously we'll leave this now overnight, ensure that we get a good dry and a good secure solid neck and glued in place fretboard. Okay guys, moving on then. So bit of work done since last time. Yeah, we've moved on to the fret markers. Bit of a difference. I've decided, slight change to the design. I'm going to go with brass fret markers and a sort of a custom brass 12 fret inlay, if you want to call it that. I've already started doing them. It's very laborious. Obviously you've got to cut out the little pocket for the brass insert to go into. So I've not filmed it all. I am now going to obviously do a bit of a close-up of the work what it takes to actually do this process, and you'll soon understand how long the process will take of cutting the actual holes. Okay, so moving in then, bit of a close-up shot of how you do this process. So cutting of the cavities for the brass inserts or fret markers. As you can see, I've already done some. It's quite a laborious task, very fine sort of cutting work. And to do this task, I've created some of my own repurposed tools to get these small cuts to create the cavities. The actual brass pieces are, believe it or not, brass nuts like so. Yeah, reused. I had a load of these, and also brass parts here. So the process of cutting then, made my own tool using an old watch maker's screwdriver that's been sharpened and fit into a handle like so. If you can see that, yeah, it's sort of a small gouge or chisel, whatever you want to call it, and I actually use this for the cutting process. Also, I've got a slightly smaller one as well, just to aid getting into them small areas. So now I'll start and do a cut just so you can see that process then. Okay, so that's the inlay work finished and sanded. I'm going to move on now and start actually putting some frets in. I've done 3 already. Yeah. Let's get on with it then. Okay, so that's all the frets in. Next will become the dressing and levelling and all the fret work to get the neck up to that good standard ready for when it goes onto the body.